man himself, Clive Boursnell. This is the exhibition of over 50 years of his work. And Clive, this is in the beginning. It's the first picture you took, I imagine,
No.
at Covent Garden.
Oh, these three are taken here on the 11th of November 1974. But the picture above it is in the old Covent Garden, and that was taken on the Friday the 8th of November, on the last working day of the old market in Covent Garden.
And they were taking down the signage.
And the old street sign of Covent Garden was pinched.
I wonder who's got that.
Well, exactly. I mean, I have no idea. It disappeared very quickly when it was pulled down. But this is what the brand new market looked like on the 11th of November 1974.
And you were there,
now,
so I know
you've
got the photos, but tell us what it felt like, it smelt like, it tasted like.
Well, everybody was in tears when they left here. And they thought this lot, it was a warehouse, it was made for transport and trucks only, not for people, and they hated it. However, a few years ago, when the flower market moved from this building to its present corner site on Nine Elms Lane, guess what? There were tears, because they were leaving this wonderful old warehouse, which they hated 50 years earlier.
Isn't it funny? Yeah. Well, take us through then.
So that was just, that panel there is just as it were a lead-in. Now the rest of the exhibition is of work that I've done over the last 20 years, and there's no particular order. So I just, obviously it's fruit and veg, the flowers, the transport. So that sort of encapsulates the, as it were, possibly the three elements. Of course, there is the new element of food preparation, and there's even a newer element where we now have full-size kitchens producing ready-to-eat food to the corporate do's, which is fantastic.
Is there a particular favourite of yours on this wall?
I was asked that question when we were putting it up, and I just can't answer it. No, because the reason I don't have a favourite, and it's actually very important that actually I don't have a favourite, insofar as that each picture tells a particular story. So this one is of the winter of outside in the old flower market, when I call it the middle flower market. Whereas this one is all about forklift trucks and the speed in which they move. Where this one is, again, people, instead of talking over a barrow, they're talking over their forklift trucks. This one is, it's all about the movement of the goods coming in from flowers coming in from Holland.
Because that's it. It's busy here, isn't it? It's always moving.
All of this is 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's not quiet, and it's not not still.
No. And then, of course, you see you've got the trucks coming in, and how that whole thing of moving produce, instead of being bushel baskets or a few sacks on a hand pulled barrow, you've got half a ton of vegetables coming in on a forklift truck.
I particularly like this one in the winter.
Yes, well, of course, that was, that's when I, zip out of bed at 1 o'clock in the morning thinking, my God, it's snowy, get down to the market. Because we have so little snow in this country. But yes, it's that whole, each morning there's a different light. And what's so fantastic about England is because we're never more than 100 miles from the sea, there is so much water in the atmosphere, and it's the water in the atmosphere that creates the infinite variety of light. Although, of course, when you're working at night in an enclosed space like the flower market, like the fruit and veg, then obviously that lighting is what sort of that dictates the mood.
You like a bit of blur, don't you? Here, I see another one there.
Yes, it's that whole thing of wanting to catch the movement in a still photograph. You see, so I mean that particular picture of the flower is done by clicking the camera mid-zoom rather than following it through like I've done with others, where I move with a moving subject.
Has there been anyone that you featured who has been here the same as you all that time, over all those years?
Well, actually, as it happens, let's just go back to this one. Now, David here, I photographed in the old market when he was a 7-year-old kid.
Wow.
He now has grandchildren.
That's extraordinary, isn't it? That really is extraordinary. Wow. Oh, and like this, the eating, because they've got that beautiful cafe here in the flower market. Haven't
Well,
they?
now they have, you see, but in those in
It was
the
a takeaway, was it?
well, it was just from the cafe in the flower market. However, Graham and his Dutch colleague didn't have the time to go and sit down, so it was just delivered, and they grabbed it, and that is how they were eating it. That's
On the boxes.
yeah.
Christmas. Everyone loves a bit of Christmas.
Yes.
Because you can get Christmas trees here. People don't know sometimes that you can come in and buy stuff if you're general public.
No, absolutely. I mean, Christmas has become, it's become, like a lot of businesses, their busiest time. And of course, it's when you get children coming in, which is wonderful. I know that I think there's supposed to be a law that children aren't supposed to be in the market, but actually it's jolly nice to see them in there. And I just like that charming one of Dad carrying the tree with the son,
On its head.
on his head like that.
Oh, this one's great. The moustache. Yeah.
Yes, he's a wonderful Dutch floral designer, and he completely outrageous. I love him to bits, and he was doing a huge thing for the Chelsea Flower Show in Sloane Square. So yes,
So an awful lot of Dutch people know who you are as well, Clive.
yeah. I've actually been to Alsberg,
Have you?
and that flower market auction is something to be believed. Over 9 million flowers, stems of flowers, change hands every morning. And they send trucks out all across Europe, as far as Moscow in the north to Madrid in the south.
Do you have a favourite part of the market?
No.
Would you prefer the flower market or the fruit and veg? No?
I'm actually very lucky, and in the late 90s, when Country Life magazine was celebrating their 100th anniversary, and I was there. One of my other hats is being a garden photographer, and they asked me, because BBC were making a television program about Country Life in the 100 years, and they said, would you participate? And I said, on the one condition that I do not have to say scripted words, because I just can't do scripted words. But I knew that one question I would be asked is, what is your favourite garden? Because everybody asks that same bloody question. And I was just thinking, God, I mean, the only way I'll just freeze. What I've got to do is go through my job book and pick out 6 gardens that I really like, learn it parrot fashion so I can really rattle them off. And I was driving I was very busy at that particular moment, going from one garden to another, to another, to another. And I was driving between 2 gardens, and I thought, Boursnell, you're a blessed man. I know what my favourite garden is. It's the one I'm working in. I do not think about the one I've just worked in, and I'm not thinking about the one I'm just going to. It's the one I'm working in. And it's the same here. I can get as much of a thrill of getting a beautiful still life of a vegetable display as doing hiking in that spontaneous roar, or traffic trying to get through the old gates, or that wonderful moment of that pre-dawn, or the sun bursting through into the old market. And that whole thing of, this, here under the arches. Well, if I shot that without the train, you could be mistaken. It could be anything. But it is so it says exactly where it is. That here is Covent Garden Market underneath the arches of a railway line.
Absolutely.
And there's no doubt of where that is.
And all the stuff that goes with it. These smaller ones, they're people, I suppose, of the market.
Well, yes, because of course, when I was asked to make this show, Tommy asked me to say, he said 50 pictures, and I thought, oh my God, I can't edit this down to 50 pictures. I said, look, I tell you what, we'll do 50 main pictures and 3 other ones. I said, but then, I said, well, we've got, all of these people that, will not be in the exhibition. So we came up with the idea. I said, look, I've got all these mugshots. Let's have them in. So first of all, the designers came up with this.
That's a clever idea.
This whole thing of 50 years of, so it's the Queen on one side and a present king on the other. But then we have this lot, which are just my mugshots of people, that have I've either shot them without them knowing, or they've said something to me, or like for example, these two, oh come on, I mean, Brian knew that I was photographing him then. That was just leaning over. Those two were because they're ex-boxers, of course. They're both ex-boxers. I mean, this dear one, or with our Carol and our head gardener.
I suppose it's the people that make the market, isn't it?
Of course it is. Of course it is. You can have the most wonderful building in the world, but if you haven't got the people in it, and if you haven't got that passion, and you haven't got the commitment and the love. I mean, let's just go over here. Don't mind the box. I just want to show you this. You talk about people, and I'm talking about commitment. This guy, just the way he's got his mobile in his teeth, but he's really looking, it's those flowers, he's just looking at them. And I love these two here, where, it's just, the connection, those two, that.
And the joy on their faces as well.
And the joy in their faces. And there was, and it was just literally as they were doing it. I mean, they had no idea I was there.
What's going on here?
Well,
this is the food preparation.
This is food preparation. I have never seen anybody cut fruit in the way this woman can do it. And she's got this very sharp knife, and she cuts it very thinly. I mean, she is an absolute master fruit cutter. Yes. This one was on oranges, onions, but this one's making shredded trip. They were shredded cabbage. It was shredding cabbage.
Good to replace spaghetti if you're on a diet. What was happening here? Some kind of event?
No, Helen Evans. This is Helen, who was predecessor to Tommy Layton, and they because there was because actually, the number of wholesalers has in fact been dropping ever since they moved in. In fact, within 6 months in 1974, by the spring of 1975, there were probably already at least a dozen wholesalers that have just said, I've had enough, I'm out.
It's a very different place now, isn't it? And even then it was starting to change.
It was already starting to change.
Supermarkets, etc.
Exactly, the onset of supermarkets and the one-man business, the one-family business, where it was, or the farmers coming up with the farmer and his son or daughter. The farmers, what do they call it? They called it, it wasn't the farmer's row, but anyway, it was, they used to come up, but that very rapidly disappeared. So they began to have a lot more space within this, what I call the middle flower market, which is now where what they call Thames City has been built, the great skyscrapers. And so this was, Helen instituted floral demonstrations and sort of conferences and that sort of thing.
Wreath making there, we can see.
And wreath making, yes, there was a sort of workshop there.
Cleaners, vital to the market, absolutely needed.
I love this shot of, that's absolutely so beautiful. That whole
doing a ballet or something.
Precisely, you got it in one. That picture works because you said it's like a ballet, and you're right. And then, of course, the recycling, that's the recycling, putting up the rubbish. And then, of course, you've got the
bosses.
The bosses. So that was the one of the ex-MDs. This is Singer, the then ambassador to England from America in the first Trump administration. This is, of course...
Because obviously you sit next to the new American embassy.
Well, yes, and also, and he was promoting American sweet potatoes. This, of course, is the sort of annual shindig that the Covent Garden Market Authority management put on. But dear Gary, head of the Tenants Association, sort of chimed in, and that's why these three are looking very pissed off.
Obviously, people who live around here would remember this time.
Yes, well, this is the beginning of, the top picture is, in fact, the beginning of what is now the flower market. And this is, in fact, the floor of the current flower market being polished. And this is the road that goes up to the upper car park.
Sign there.
And, of course, the fine. And, of course, all of these, you can't do this in a day, and you can't call it to order. You've just got to put the time in. Yeah. You've got to watch it. You've got to know what's coming up and be there, because nobody's going to hang around waiting for you, mate.
And I suppose you know everything about the market now. And you know when things are going to happen because you want to be there to photograph.
Well, yes. I do. Yes, I have a love for the place. And because I know it, I can anticipate. When these were being built, I knew that these bits were coming up, and just had to be there, and poor partner was a widow, as it were, photographer's widow.
Tell us, as we make our way to the end of the exhibition.
This is moving from the old flower market, which was here, and again, Luke Zen Says Flowers is being interviewed about leaving this building, and we were leaving that warehouse for this new warehouse.
Were they upset again?
Of course, there was tears when people left this, as they hated it when they first moved in 1974.
And the same thing happens over and over again.
Yeah, here, of course, again, the sheer volume of fruit and veg that come into this place. And then, of course, that whole thing of, getting, again, Christmas tree, pulling down the... I love that one, that head back, dropping head, and the movement of that. Interesting
one here, because the area that you sit has also completely transformed, and there it is, right in front of us on that.
Before the market was here, Nine Elms was an industrial site. Before it was an industrial site, it was a goods rail yard, and it imported the food. Over 60% of the food coming into London came in to Nine Elms rail terminus, which is right here where we're standing now. And I'm old enough to remember, because I grew up in Chiswick, and our garden backed onto the railway, and every day there was one live cattle train that passed through on its way to Nine Elms, where those cattle were offloaded and then taken up to the live meat market in Islington. And that was in the early 50s.
Wow. The whole thing is called Wholesale Market Life. People can come and see the exhibition, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, you can come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I shall be here.
And that's the best time to come, because it's still a bit busy at that time.
Oh, absolutely.
It's ending the day here, but still.
Yes. Oh, yeah. By 8 o'clock, the market's closed, but you can still come in until
6
midday.
till 12, isn't it?
Yeah. So you can come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I shall be here tomorrow, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. And you can be here and come until 12. I won't throw you out if you just come in at 2 minutes to 12. I'll let you have a look.
And can I ask, how long are you going to continue doing this for, Clive?
Well, my dear, I don't know. I asked him up there, how long have I got? He said, I'm not telling you, my boy. You just get on living.
You're reviewing the situation.
I'm reviewing the situation. No, seriously, I know that I've got a lot more work to do and I want to do here. So, I can't run around like I used to 50 years ago, but I can still move gently. And I just pace myself. I can no longer work from 9 o'clock in the evening until 10 o'clock the following morning. So I now do it in 3 or 4 hour bite-sized pieces. So, I might come in from 9 until 1, or I'll come in at, say, 2 and leave at 6, or come in at 5, go through till 10.
And there's so much more to come in the future.
Oh, I mean, because of the changing and the fact that, the market from 1974 is now all but being demolished and is being completely rebuilt with up-to-date facilities that hopefully will take it through another 50 or even 75 years, which will take it through to 2021.
You've got to still be here for that, but no.
Oh shit. God knows what I should be like.
Clive, thank you so much.
Thank you as well for coming and seeing it and giving me so much time. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Well done, Clive. Thank you.
Riverside.